Good evening. It's January 29th, Wednesday, 2025, and I'm in Studio 1B with John J. Jeckovich.
P.F. Staff Sergeant.
Staff Sergeant, World War II. How you doing today, Mr. Jeckovich?
Oh, I'm doing great.
You're looking chipper.
Yeah. I'm a big war hero, yeah.
Damn right you are.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting fact about the guys in combat. The guys in combat in World War II, they're so damn humble. This is a fact. And that's why they're nicknamed the greatest generation that ever existed. They're so humble. We didn't know Mr. Jeckovich was a World War II combat veteran until a few years ago.
No.
They don't think nothing of it. And all the stories you heard up from now, where'd they come from? Rear echelon.
Yeah, oh yeah,
So, this is a World War II veteran. This is a World War II hero here.
Combat,
front line, Battle of Bulge.
And you just had an interesting conversation with his great
He just had an interesting conversation with his great grandson, Brantley Jeckovich. He's doing a speech on him in his class. And this is just a young boy in grammar school.
10 years old.
10 years old. Mr. Jeckovich is leaving all this information for younger people to understand and read.
yeah, but they don't understand it.
Well, they do. You're making it crystal clear to them.
Yeah.
You're making it clear to them. And people don't understand the horror that these teenage boys went through during World War II. And all the books and stories are written up to now were from rear echelon, because the guys that were on the front line and the front row fighting and watching their best friends get killed.
They were mostly 19, 20 years old.
Yes. And their best friends being killed.
32, there were 33.
Watching their friends get killed on a daily basis. They don't talk. And the code Mr. Jeckovich just said now is 33. That's military slang, which means teenage boys front line.
Yeah.
Teenage boys front line. Because a lot of people don't know this, and I'm going to set you straight now. Teenage boys on front line, they have a lot of energy, stamina, and strength. Hard to believe, but once you get to say 25 or 26, you lose a great deal of that. You lose a great deal of that endurance. You lose a great deal of that endurance once you get your mid-20s. So Mr. Jeckovich was affectionately called with his whole division when he first entered World War II in the European theater. He was first referred to in a very respectful manner as the Diaper Division. Why is that?
They're all 19 years old. 33. Yes. They're all 33.
Yes. And after they proved themselves, they become very hardened frontline combat soldiers. They kicked Nazis and Hitler's ass out of Paris, France, that they occupied for 4 years. They kicked their Nazis and Hitler's ass out of the Battle of Bulge and the Ardent Force, which was the coldest winter of all records. And these guys weren't prepared. They didn't have the proper clothing to fight in 30 and 40 below degree weather, and the snow was 3 or 4 feet deep. And the sad thing about it is, where did all those winter clothes go?
Rear echelon.
Aha.
Black market.
Aha. That's enough said. All the time. The rear echelon, which never stepped foot on the front line, Mr. Jeckovich was face to face with these Nazis. They kept the boots, the heavy clothing, and jackets to sit at the rear echelon, way back from the front line. And the soldiers up front, the real fighting machines, didn't get nothing. They got, what was your boots like?
Remember the boots I wore in school, the buckles out.
Like these cheap boots they wore when he was in school, belt buckles, they didn't keep the weather out. And as a result of it, many young soldiers died of frostbite. That's nothing to mess with. Mr. Jeckovich still suffers today from frostbite, right?
Every night.
Every night. When the weather goes down, he's in pain from frostbite. You know, we're having a cold winter in the United States now. And many people are going skiing. You could easily get frostbite. You could easily lose a limb, a finger, a nose, an ear. But if you have a case of frostbite, say for example, when you're skiing, don't rush into the clubhouse and sit behind a fire. That's the worst thing you could do. We learned from World War II, what you need to do is make a snowball, and rub it on that affected area of frostbite. That will get the blood circulating again. Otherwise, you'll be in big trouble. So we learned so many things from World War II. It's just absolutely amazing the things that we learned from World War II. Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich was affectionately called the Diaper Division because, why?
19 years old.
Young kids.
33.
But they earned a title after the Battle of Bulge, which at that time Adolf Hitler committed suicide. A coward, he committed suicide. He didn't want to face the music like Mussolini did. They hung up Mussolini, president of Italy, bare-ass naked in a parking lot and beat the living hell out of him. Hitler didn't want to go down that road, so he took his weapon and he blew his brains out, and he gave an order to his close members of the Nazi party. As soon as he blows his brains out, they were to torch his body so there's no remnants of it. He also killed all his dogs before he did that, and his fiancée. So he is a cruel and evil man, and people are still suffering from this degenerate today. But later, the story as it goes, Mr. Jeckovich and all his fellow combat soldiers later earned the title. Instead of the Diaper Division, they're now called either the Bulge Busters or the Bastards of Bastogne. That's what their new title was. Their new title was, and earned, and they really did earn it. And Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. Today is a gift, right, Mr. Jeckovich?
Right.
Mr. Jeckovich is knocking on the door of 100 years old. Knocking on the door of 100 years old. Doesn't it feel like yesterday you were 20?
20, yeah.
A word to you listeners, it goes by fast. It goes by fast. Here's living proof. Look on your TV screen. Here's living proof. He's telling you face to face. 20 yesterday, 100 today. It went by fast.
Yeah.
Wow. What type of weapons did you use during World War II?
Pistol, machine gun, flamethrower, bazooka, mortars, and more rifle.
What about machine gun?
30 caliber machine gun, yeah.
Heavy duty machine gun, right?
Air cooled, water cooled.
Water cool. Tell us how, I don't understand, if that machine gun was so powerful that the barrel would get red hot and you had to water cool it and the temperature is 30 below, how the hell would you run water through it?
Well, they had antifreeze in it.
And where'd you get the water from?
And they're quick.
You pound a hole in the ice?
Yeah.
What happened to one of your fellow soldiers with the heat of the barrel?
Picked it up and burned his hand out.
How bad?
Well, right down to the bone. That barrel's hot. Especially when you're in combat, you pick that thing up, you gotta pick it up with the arm, with the legs, you can't touch that barrel.
And how many people would move around this heavy machine gun? To give us an idea how it worked.
The heavy weapons company was 12 guys, 12 people in a squad.
And that was set up on a tripod?
It was on a tripod. The gunner carried the tripod over his neck. The assistant gunner carried the receiver over his shoulder, and then the rest of the squad carried ammunition. Bringing ammunition back and forth.
How heavy was the tripod?
How heavy?
Yeah.
135 pounds.
So it was a big
Because
piece.
you had to pick it up and there's three legs, pick that thing and throw it over your head. You got to bring that thing all the way from the floor and put it over your head.
So
When
you
I
have
was
to-
19 years old, I could do it.
Yeah. Could you do it now?
No, hell no.
Yeah. So that's the difference between a 19-year-old and a 25-year-old. 25-year-old, they're not as strong as a 19-year-old. So that was so you say for example, I'm trying to understand this. You and a whole crew would set up this heavy-duty machine gun, 30 caliber, bust out a couple thousand rounds, and then what'd you do?
And break it down and move on.
How quickly?
About I'd say half an hour the most.
Because why? Why'd you have to move?
Well, because they got to zero it in.
And then they'd blow you up.
Yeah,
So every time you shot a few thousand rounds, you were gone.
yeah.
How far of a location did you run to?
Well, you run up in the woods, you run up behind the trees, run up at the hills and everything else. So you just scatter, you can go out and get it out. You don't want to get anybody to get zeroed in on you.
But they zeroed in on you because a sniper hit you in the shoulder. Were you shooting a machine gun when a sniper hit you in the shoulder?
There was a sniper up in the house.
And then what were you doing at the time?
We were coming back from off of a patrol, and he was up there at the second story bedroom.
Did you actually shoot back?
I blew half the wall off.
No kidding. Wow. No kidding. Wow. And then how did you make it back to a medic?
What?
How did you make it back to a doctor or to a medic?
Well, they held me back, and you held back, and the guys carried you back and all that nonsense.
And then how long after that were you hit by a dirty bomb? That you have shrapnel in your leg?
Well, probably 2 or 3 weeks later.
2 or 3 weeks later. Keep in mind that Mr. Jeckovich spent about 3 months in a Paris hospital and to recover from his wound. And then they bandaged him up and they said, hey, if your index finger will pull the trigger of that machine gun, and if you're able to walk, what are you considered?
Fit for duty.
Fit for duty. True heroes. Could you imagine that?
Well,
today?
see, I lost a hip there too.
Yeah.
I got a plastic hip here, prosthetic.
One thing you have to know, Mr. Jeckovich during World War II, shot by a sniper, dirty bomb, shrapnel still in his leg, been stabbed, been beat up, trench foot, and frostbite, which he still suffers from today. Wow. It's just based on the prayers of his mother and Targus Jeckovich and his close friend, the former nun, Renee, from Paris, France. Their daily prayers were the only reason why this man
You took shoelaces outside. No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
made it out alive. And that's the only reason why. There's no other reason. Mr. Jeckovich was caught off guard when a young Nazi had a drop on you. What happened?
For a young kid?
Yeah, he had a drop on you.
Yeah, we were in a culvert. He was going my way, and I was going his way. And he stopped, looked at me, smiled, turned around, and went back. Well, I didn't touch him.
16.
19-year-old kid.
He was a Nazi soldier,
Yeah.
actually a decent fella. Same situation you're in, you're both teenagers. He could have shot you quickly.
Yeah.
What happens if that would have been an SS?
And they shot me in the head.
They wouldn't have thought.
No, they were fanatics. They were fanatics.
And so you look back at him, you both smiled. He turned his back and walked away, and you walked away, but he was so confident that he had the drop on you, that he didn't kill you, that when he walked away, his back was towards you, and you could have had the drop on him, but you didn't do a thing.
well, he read me, yeah.
Yeah, he read you, that's a good point. And I hope that young Nazi soldier had a great and long life. So I do believe there's good people, even during that situation. Even during that
Well,
situation.
those kids were in the same position. We were 19 years
but
old.
the SS were fanatics.
Huh?
The SS were fanatics. They weren't.
Yeah.
And a lot of those SS were horrible people what they did to the prisoners of war during World War II and what happened in all the Holocaust camps. They tortured these people beyond belief.
How about the prisoners of the war? America's.
Mr. Jeckovich was one of the military soldiers that bust down the gates at the prisoner of war camps and bust down the gates at the Holocaust camps, and the horror seeing beautiful young men, 200, 225 pounds, now to 60 and 70 pounds, most dead, and the ones that were alive, what were you turned out to do?
Don't feed them.
And why was that?
Because their stomachs are all screwed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are American soldiers.
Yeah. And that, seeing that horror rent space in your mind 6 to 10 times a day for the last 80 years. It does not go away. It does not go away. The horror that was seen there. The story's big, but we're not going to talk about that now. We're not going to talk about that now.
Well, I still talk about late. I was supposed to take care of late because he wasn't street smart. And I called him up, write his mother and father about how he died. And when I'm writing it, I'm saying, I'm writing it, and they say, well, what happened to you if you were right next to him?
Yeah.
How come you didn't get hit?
Yeah, but that wasn't the right way for them to look at it. Donald Lape was a young man that worked with combat with Mr. Jeckovich.
Who was father and mother were lawyers, and he was going to law school.
Donald Lape was a young man, same age as Mr. Jeckovich, that they worked in the same division with the with the heavy-duty armored machine gun. Mr. Jeckovich was street smart because he took care of his mother since 11 years old, because his father was a legal immigrant that came over from Russia through Ellis Island the proper way, and he worked 3 or 4 different jobs just to make Mr. Jeckovich and his other brothers and sisters a better life. And at the age of 43, he dropped dead doing a cement job in Niagara Falls. And so Mr. Jeckovich was very street smart, what he accomplished and did at an early age. Well, Donald Lape was not street smart.
Yeah.
You might say he was book smart.
Yeah.
And so Donald Lape, if you can, briefly describe what happened to him.
Well, he got his head rolled off. I told him, keep your head down, the shrapnel's coming over, but he didn't do it.
You told him many times to stay low.
Well, I thought I was watching him.
And you did all you could do.
I felt bad about it because I wasn't taking care of him.
You did all you could do.
And then I had to write to brother and father.
Yeah, we still have that letter, and we're going to bring that letter in and read it. We still have that letter of 80 years old. We still have that letter of 80 years old. Wasn't Donald Lape also standing up and shooting his pistol? Wasn't he shooting his pistol? He stood up a lot?
No, he didn't have a pistol. He was a second gunner. He carried the tripod.
Yeah, but he was standing up too much.
Well, he didn't think he could get killed. That was it. He didn't think he could get killed.
He thought he was invincible,
Yeah.
like most young people are. And ironically, if you fast forward the story about Donald Lape, Mr. Jeckovich has been retired in the state of Florida for 50 years. He's had a beautiful retirement. How long were you married for?
69.
Mr. Jeckovich had a beautiful retirement, and he was married to Delphine Stulak for 69 years. But the story about Donald Lape goes further. 2 blocks away from Mr. Jeckovich's house in Florida, unfortunately found out when it was too late, Donald Lape's brother lived for over 23 years 2 blocks away from Mr. Jeckovich in
Yeah,
Florida.
you never see it.
We only found out through an obituary. Too damn late, but that would have been a beautiful get-together. So the 2 prayers we firmly believe, the 2 people praying for Mr. Jeckovich, one was his mother, Ann Targus Jeckovich, which was a devout Catholic, and she prayed the rosary daily. Keep in mind, folks, the rosary is the most powerful tool in the world. You never find another rosary. We give over 100,000 rosaries away free each year. I'll give you our text message, just request it, and we'll send as many as you like. But that's not the point. The point is also Renee was close to Mr. Jeckovich in Paris, prayed the rosary for him daily. A little background about Renee: she was a Roman Catholic nun in a convent, and at that time the Nazis were occupying
9 months.
At that time, the Nazis were occupying Paris. When Renee was a cloister nun. Very difficult situation unless you really love Christ. It's hard to be a cloister nun if you don't believe. And she got notice that both her mother and father, which I imagine her parents were only in the early 40s at the time, because she was a young girl, 20, 19, that her mother and father was tortured and killed by the Nazis. That was tough for her to take. And then like a week or two later, she got another notice at the convent that her two young brothers were both teenagers, like 15, 16. They were both tortured and killed by the Nazis. So at this time, Renee questioned her faith, like most people do. Even the Pope questions his faith from time to time. And she left the convent and went back to Paris to the apartment where she was a beautiful artist, right?
She was a resistance fighter, yeah.
Besides that, she was an artist.
Yeah.
And when Mr. Jeckovich met her at the lake with two young boys were sailing a little boat in there, they became quite close, great friends. And then when you went to Renee's apartment, what did you see?
Pictures of Nazis, higher up officers, painted to their faces only. She was a good portrait painter just for faces. Yeah, the Nazis like that eagle stuff.
Yeah, the Nichols are narcissistic bastards, and they found someone to do great portraits.
And they were taught among themselves, what this and then she picked it up and told the Allies what she picked up.
Okay. The puzzle's coming together. So Renee left the convent and joined the French resistance.
Yeah.
And she was a great portrait artist. She would paint all these Nazi officers.
Just the faces. Just the
faces. Because these guys were all puffed up with their own self-worth.
They're telling all stuff.
They were always bragging, kind of like people on Facebook today. They
were giving out a lot of military information too.
Yeah, so she was taking information from them and giving them down to the French resistance. But have you been to the French resistance?
Huh?
Were you with Renee at the French resistance?
No.
I thought you went down to the French resistance.
By herself. I was still in the army.
Yeah, but you went down there to visit. What did you see? You said it was in a sewer. The French resistance table. You said you went down there.
Oh, yeah, we were down in the sewer. Yeah, sticky, limey hole. That one thing they had was the phone down there.
Yeah, but you went down there with her.
I just went down there to see what she was doing. I said, you better get the hell out of here.
So Renee was bitter and questioned her faith, and she joined the French resistance, and she was secretly gathering information from the Nazi officers that she was painting.
Yeah.
And then what finally happened to Renee?
Well, the officer got wind of what she's doing. They took her out in the woods and shot her.
Yeah.
Got her right in the head.
Yeah. Prior to that, Mr. Jeckovich and Renee were very close. When he was in the hospitals in Paris, she was only a stone throw from her apartment, so he'd see her daily. But then Mr. Jeckovich got transferred about 60 miles west of Paris in a rehabilitation, but he's still seen Renee. But listen to his travels, listen to his determinations. To go from the rehabilitation center that he was mending his wounds, his gunshots, to see Renee in Paris, he had to first take a bus. The bus would take him to a train station, take the train to Paris, and then take a taxi cab to see Renee.
Yeah.
You were pretty damn determined.
And then I had to be back to roll call.
What time was roll call?
5 o'clock.
All right, that's a lot of traveling. Each day he did this. Were you ever late?
No.
All that time?
No.
Wow, you must have timed it out right.
Yeah.
You must have timed it out right. And the puzzle gets more completed by this. Many months later, you went back to Renee's apartment, and what was what was left for you? She was gone.
Oh, in Renee's apartment?
Yeah, when you went there, when she,
Yeah, wrote me a letter.
but tell us how you got the letter. You're going to there, and her apartment's empty. Tell us who came up to you.
Renee's mother or father.
No, or wasn't it the landlord?
Yeah,
Yeah, and what did he say? Are you John Jeckovich?
yeah,
And then he gave you this letter.
yeah.
Wow. She knew you were coming back.
Ooh,
Renee knew you were coming back.
yeah,
But she didn't know that it was her demise.
yeah.
Yeah. That's the end of that puzzle. That's how it ended. And not just in this case, and in millions of other cases, people were foolishly murdered.
Well, that happened 1,000 times over there.
Yes,
Yeah.
unfortunately
1,000 times over there.
Unfortunately so. Pure, devastating evil. Evil triumphs when good men do nothing. And Mr. Jeckovich and his squad did a lot to kill all this evil. They certainly did. Minutes, please.
Put on Trump, turn this light off. Oh, you gonna have it light up?
I'm doing a minute count.
3 minutes, just under.
We got 3 minutes. So that was a hell of a great story there. And then Mr. Jeckovich left the war with a Purple Heart and 2 Bronze Stars. And an interesting fact is it's so funny whenever you see a movie on actual footage of World War II, all the soldiers are smoking, and there was non-filtered cigarettes there.
Yeah.
Because the Red Cross passed them out like
Oh,
candy bars.
yeah, just like candy. Yeah.
Everyone was smoking. Did you smoke?
No, I never smoked, never smoked.
So unfortunately, if the war didn't kill you, 20 or 30 years later,
Smoking will kill you.
yeah, the Red Cross passed those things out like candy bars. And as the war was winding down, you were on a point system to go back to Niagara Falls, New York.
Yeah.
But how were all the tents labeled?
Lucky Strike, Philip Morris, Paul Mall, and that's
Chesterfield?
Chesterfield. That's where you had your reception center to wait to go home. You had to go home by points.
By points. How many months did it take you to get home?
After I got the reception center, it took me almost 6 months to get home.
Holy cow. And when you got home, what was the first thing you did? Orange
What?
juice? When you got home?
No, I got home and I was over at home and I know the key was up in above the milk box. I opened the milk box, looked in the refrigerator, and I just got off the bus out of Buffalo. I was thirsty, and there was a half a glass of orange juice in the refrigerator. I drank that orange juice, and my mother said, "You drank my orange juice?"
And you just came out of a major battle.
Yeah, you drank my orange juice. Yeah, that was another thing to get hooked up with the people that didn't understand the war, and they lived away from it. They didn't get bombed like England, they didn't get bombed like Germany. They were saved by the damn ocean.
I understand exactly what they say. They don't, as you're saying, they didn't understand the horror.
No, they didn't understand nothing about it.
Getting upset over orange juice was nothing compared to what you went through.
That's what that was their life.
Yeah. Wow. Minutes, please. Getting upset over orange juice, what the hell you went through. Wow.
Yeah, but then when I got home, she gave me a big list of stuff I didn't do yet.
Minute 22.
Wait, tell us about this list. You got home, trying to recuperate, and what did you have in front of you?
I had a list about stuff my mother said you got to do because you were fooling off.
Screwed off in a war, World War.
Oh my God.
You were screwing off in a war. You were screwing around in a war.
Yeah.
And that's why Mr. Jeckovich is a tough man now, because he had a tough mother.
Yeah,
He had a tough mother.
yeah, it rubbed off on him.
Yeah, he had a tough mother. So she said you're screwing off.
Yeah.
What kind of
Well,
list?
she didn't say screw us. You're fooling around. You're wasting your time. You should be doing help for me here. I got to do this.
Not
I didn't do
World
any
War.
painting. I didn't fix this. I didn't fix that.
Yeah.
And you're out there playing around.
Yeah, I realize she wouldn't say screwing off. That's just a term you said. But what did the list consist of?
Huh?
What was the list? What kind of things were on the list?
Oh, sand all the woodwork down, and you can take the kitchen off and put carpets, not carpets, but tile in there. Fix the bathroom, paint all the rooms, and
So you had a long
fix the cellar up.
Another one's in the book.
Well, we got another one in the book.